Welcome back to the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. As some of you know, I just finished building my house in Blanca, Colorado, and also today is election day. So needless to say, I am stressed to the max. I needed a getaway, so I thought I'd get out here and make a video. On all trails, this trail is listed as Zapata Falls and North Fork South Zapata Creek. It ends at a lake up in the mountains here. It's a total of 8 miles, 3,400 feet in elevation gain, so it's a fairly large hike, but I'm expecting it to be amazing views along the way. So let's get it started. Thanks for watching. All right, first I'm going to show you a few video clips from my hike, and then at the end of the video I'll tell you all about it, the details about parking and all that stuff. So this first section here is going to take us up to Zapata Falls. The distance up to Zapata Falls is just a half a mile. Fairly easy hike, nice wide trail. It's a really popular spot. It's really cool in the wintertime when everything freezes. So right here is Zapata Falls, and right there is where we will go further down the trail. I'll show you more about that in a second. So if you want to go see Zapata Falls, you really need some waterproof shoes because you got to skip across those rocks to get back into this cave in order to actually see the waterfalls. So make sure you bring some waterproof boots or shoes. And then when you come out, you'll hang a left, and this is where we will go further down the trail. I would say 99% of the people don't even know that this section of the trail exists, and it goes on for a long time. Here's a great view of the Great Sand Dunes National Park, just a few miles down the road from this location. And here's a great view of the San Luis Valley. I believe the San Luis Valley is 100 miles long by 50 miles wide. So this section of trail is fairly more challenging. It's very steep in certain sections. All right, one more fork in the road right here. You're going to go left. All right, some of these sections of trail are quite narrow, so be careful when you're going across little sections like this. Here is South Zapata Creek. We actually have to cross this in order to get over to the other side, and it's actually not easy. Halfway thinking about building a bridge up here just to help the hikers. I'll do a video about that, obviously. Right away, this section of trail is quite steep. Which makes for a fun hike to get a good amount of exercise while you're out there. Also, there's this neat little cabin right here. I wish I knew some history about this thing, how old it is and all that kind of stuff. But it's definitely still standing. There's one right next to it as well that is no longer standing, but pretty neat little spot. Another glimpse of the San Luis Valley. And then as you get to this little junction right here, you start to get really beautiful views of the mountains in the higher elevations. So there are a lot of peaks in this area, 14,000 elevation and above. I tried to do Lake Como last year and was unsuccessful. These hikes are not easy. They're quite challenging. But it was a nice sunny day, so I'm happy that I got out and was able to capture some footage. There's so many hiking trails in the area that I want to do, but as I said, some of them are not easy. There's some loose gravel right there, just to be aware. Sections like this, especially on the way down, can be a bit tricky. The night before I recorded this video, we did get a little bit of snow. So I actually had to put my yak tracks on a little bit further down the trail. All right, now we're leaving the state lands, entering the public lands. And we're coming up to another fork in the road I'll show you here. I use All Trails for my navigation. For me, it's been a really, really useful app. Sometimes the trail goes two different directions and you're not quite sure which way it goes. This section here is fairly narrow as well. Another shot of the San Luis Valley. If you're interested, the Great Sand Dunes National Park is an international dark sky area, and it's really, really great for stargazing. If you want to do any nighttime photography, it's a great place to go. Alright, so this is 2.5 miles up. This is a great place to refill your water bottle if you're interested. I drink out of this creek all the time, and it is really, really delicious. So the South Zapata Creek is at 1.25 miles, and that little stream is at 2.5 miles. So you should know there are places to refill your water bottles. Here's the fork in the road. When you reach this spot, you're going to take a left. And then it gets even steeper. So these tracks, I was following these tracks most of the way up the mountain, and there were no human footprints, so I know it must have been probably a coyote. I was kind of hoping to see one, but it was neat to see the paw prints anyway. Yeah, this area is really beautiful as you get into the higher elevations, especially on a sunny day. I tried to hike to a lake out in this direction right here, but the problem is the end of the trail ended up being a bunch of rocks. So you're just hiking across rocks, which makes it quite challenging. This trail is a little bit the same way. I hiked about 3.25 miles, maybe 3.5, and then it turned into a really, really rocky section. I'll show you here in just a second. So there were some downed trees. Here's a bunch of them right here. And this section I went around the outside and was able to get past it. But here is the rocky section I was telling you about. And this is actually all the further that I decided to go. I was pretty exhausted. I hate hiking across these rocks because it's really rough on your feet. I had probably another mile to go in order to reach the lake. But on the way down, I recorded some footage with my GoPro, which is, this is the beginning section of my GoPro footage. GoPro 11 Mini is what I have, and that's what I use when I do my downhill skiing videos. But San Luis Valley off in the distance again. On this day, I hiked 6.9 miles. I think it was about 2,300 feet in elevation gain. And I had decided that I just reached about my maximum enjoyment level. To go another mile would have probably actually made it less fun. Someday I'll do the whole hike, but... Alright, so now I would like to tell you a little bit about this hiking trail. First of all, it's free entry. There is a paved road up to the trailhead, which is fairly new addition. I think they just paved it maybe 3 years ago. There is sufficient parking, but it does fill up on the weekends. So just know that this is a popular tourist destination, and if you go on the weekends, parking might be full. They do have an overflow parking lot. They've got restrooms, and they have a campground with 23 campsites. You can make reservations at recreation.gov. So some notes about the trail. Crossing the river is fairly challenging, as I mentioned. That is South Zapata Creek. You've got to skip across the rocks, and if the river level is high, it makes it more challenging. So there are a few steep sections and a few narrow trail sections as well. There was a decent amount of downed trees on the day that I went. As I mentioned, there's drinkable water on the way. And the lake I was trying to hike to is actually not a lake at all. It's just a section of North Fork South Zapata Creek is what it's called. As I mentioned, the last mile of this trail is all rocks, which can be quite hard on your feet. Just to know that it's not a cakewalk to get to this place by any means. But anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. We will see you next time.